What is going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. You definitely gonna want to watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. If you're new to the fam, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell for future uploads. Let's get right into the story. Trap life. Some people make hustling look easy. Whether they had a gift of gab to talk to people, or the leadership skills to run a block or trap. It might seem like easy money, but it's not as easy as some think. When you add in certain factors, like getting clientele you can trust, keeping the product flowing for supply and demand, and keeping an eye out for the stick-up kids, same way some like to hustle and sell product to make money, it's another side of the game, where some wait for others to make the money and simply just ride them for it. It's really just luck of the draw and how you move. Some individuals never get took off because they might be a piece of a bigger puzzle, trapping for a gang or organization that have hitters or shooters to take care of the robbers if they try them. But others are freelance, out just trying to make a few plays just to keep a couple dollars flowing. But it's dangerous to be hustling and meeting up with people, especially if you are not a known figure, or if you are not in your city or stomping grounds. Now you are playing in someone else's backyard. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will take it all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee, to discuss a case involving two young men who lost their lives a long way from home in a trap deal. According to sources, back in June 2017, Sergio Rivera and Jalen Morris, both 18 years old at the time, came down to Tennessee from Decatur, Michigan, to link up with their homie, who we will call D. He was actually from Tennessee, but somewhere in the mix of the situation, the three friends had some grass they wanted to sell and were looking for customers, when the young lady and D would start communicating on social media. He told her he had some grass, and him and his peoples from out of town were trying to get it off. Right there at the time with the young lady was 17-year-old Dion Nober. Allegedly, Dion would tell D he was interested in grabbing some of the product, but Dion told the young lady he didn't have any real money, but he did have some fake $100 bills, so he sent it in a picture to D to make it seem like everything was smooth. Dion would walk through the Montgomery Village apartments to chop it up with two of his peoples, 15-year-old Rico Cook, nicknamed Lil Rico, and the older associate, 23-year-old Christopher Johnson, who was nicknamed Money. Allegedly, Dion told the two he had a lick that was about to pull up before communicating back with D and asking how many people he was coming with, in which D said he was cool to sell to other people in the neighborhood as long as when they pulled up, they got in the car so they couldn't run off with the product. Lil Rico was Dion's girlfriend's little brother, and Money was known in the area for being a Crip. As D, Sergio, and Jalen decided they would drive to the apartments to make the sale, they didn't know what they was walking into. When the whip pulled up, according to sources, Money handed Lil Rico a gun. Then Dion and Rico walked to the car, while Money stayed on the porch of an apartment of a girl he was dealing with. Dion and Lil Rico got into the car and recognized D from social media, but did not know Sergio or Jalen. D advised the men to get into the back seat where he was sitting. As he showed the two the grass, D assumed they were reaching for the money, before allegedly Rico pulled out a gun and started shooting, hitting D in the face twice and also hitting Sergio and Jalen before grabbing the grass, and Dion and Rico took off running. Allegedly, Lil Rico gave the grass and gun to Money, who was still standing on the porch of the young lady's apartment, when he told the two keep going, before stashing the gun and grass in the young lady's house. Dion and Rico got picked up in the car that was drove by Rico's sister, but D was still at the scene, and despite being shot in the face twice, the young man was still living, and jumped out the car asking who shot him and trying to chase the young man through the apartments. Police arrived to the crime scene at 1:25 p.m. in the parking lot of Joe Lewis Road at Daylily Drive in the Montgomery Village apartments to find 3 victims suffering from gunshot wounds. 2 of them was rushed to a local hospital. D, who was 16 years old at the time, would survive, but unfortunately, Sergio and Jalen would not survive the shooting. One of the young men was gone at the scene, and the other succumbed to his wounds at the hospital. Local police talked to witnesses at the apartments, and where some stated they saw Lil Rico and Dion running through the complex after hearing shots. The roommate of Money's lady friend allowed police to search her apartment, and they allegedly found the gun in the attic and some pants with grass still in the pockets, in which they assumed was from when Rico ran and gave it to Money after the robbery. Some residents alleged they heard Rico running, stating he was about to be cripped, in which some felt as though that was his initiation. Police had one surviving victim, D, in which they went to talk to the young man in the hospital. He stated it was supposed to be an easy sale. He alleged he didn't know the robbers, and he remembers the one in the back seat with him, and said the young man just upped the blick and started shooting. When they showed him a photo lineup with Dion and Lil Rico in it, D quickly pointed to Dion as the one who approached the car first, and Rico as the alleged shooter. With that information and evidence from the young lady's apartment, Dion and Money were arrested and taken into custody, charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 attempt, assault, and robbery. After word got out to Rico and his family that police were looking for him for 2 hits in an attempt, they took the young man to the police station, and he turned himself in. His peoples allegedly told police not to question the young man because he had already had a paid attorney. Only 15 years old at the time, but police already had D and other people in the community pointing at Rico as the shooter. The young man was charged with the same charges as Dion and Money. The case wouldn't make it to trial until 4 years later, with the victims' families pointing out they had no idea the teens had traveled from Michigan to Tennessee and that they were not drug dealers. But evidence from the scene and everything else pointed to Dion as the one who set up the move, but Rico as the trigger man, and Money as the one who influenced the younger men and gave Rico the gun. Rico was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 attempt, 1 robbery, and other charges. The young man was sentenced to life plus 17 years at just 19 years old. Dion eventually pled guilty of facilitation of first-degree murder and received 20 years in prison. Christopher, aka Money, also was found guilty of 2 counts of facilitation of first-degree murder, 2 counts of robbery, tampering with evidence, assault, and burglary charges, and he was sentenced to 70 years in prison. Rest in peace to Sergio and Jalen. I send my prayers and condolences to their families. More of this story, watch how and where you decide to make a move. The 2 young men got caught up in a perfect storm of being outsiders coming into an environment where the 3 other men were looking for a come-up. I'm not sure why Rico allegedly shot. Maybe it was a gang initiation, but their plan was over before it even started. They did everything wrong. Social media conversations, witnesses, broad daylight shootings was a one-way ticket to prison, all for some grass and to make a little name for yourself. So remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, this is a crazy story, man. Rest in peace to them 2 young men. I understand they families saying they wasn't drug dealers, saying Sergio and Jalen just was good people and they got caught up because of their love for people, they trusted people. But at the end of the day, man, y'all coming all the way from Michigan to Tennessee. Don't nobody know y'all. Y'all pulling up in the projects. And I ain't saying race had nothing to do with it, but you know, in certain environments, man, when people see a Caucasian person, you know, Spanish people, they looking at it like, okay, it's a come up, you know. I don't know why they shot. That's the thing about it. I don't know why Money gave him the gun. Maybe it was a gang initiation, because obviously they got the grass and they was able to, leave the car. But before they left the car, shots went off, They tried to allegedly take everybody out. But the young man D, who was 16 at the time, he survived. He pointed the finger. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all think about this story in the comments below. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story. Subscribe if you're new to the fam. Hit that notification bell for future uploads. Let's get right into it. Relationships can be a loving journey of life between two people that's on the same page, and that can let their guards down, become one, and learn from each other. That's on the good side of things and in a perfect relationship, but that's only in the dream world. In a lot of situations, being in a relationship is hard work and dedication. To still show love to a person, even if you don't like them at that very second. Paying bills together and raising families can be stressful, putting even the best couples to the test. Some people choose to make it work no matter what they have to go through, and others find a way out by any means necessary. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we will take it to Latana, Florida, to discuss a case of a husband's plot to get his wife out the way for good. Yuri Jenkins and his wife, Makiva Jenkins, things seem to be going good for the couple, both in their 30s at the time in 2017. Makiva had just posted on Facebook about her achievements as a business consultant, helping people grow and promote their companies, and which she was making 6 figures doing. On the outside looking in, it seemed like the perfect situation for a young couple. Great career, house in sunny Florida. But according to sources, Makiva was getting tired of Yuri and his alleged cheating and other things he was said to be doing. So the young lady decided to file for a divorce. But she quickly changed her mind when she realized she was pregnant. Makiva decided to make the marriage work, but Yuri had other plans. His wife, who was business-minded and on top of her game, had 2 life insurance policies, just in case anything ever happened. Yuri noticed Makiva making changes to one of the plans, and the total of the policies was over $500,000. Yuri, while talking to an associate of his, we will call D, started opening up about his marriage, claiming he was tired of it and had fell out of love with his wife. Before allegedly the tone of the conversation was switched, with Yuri discussing with D, he wanted his wife gone for good, and he would become the beneficiary of her life insurance policy, and he would pay D to find someone to do it. D, playing the middleman, would eventually introduce Yuri to Jovan Joseph, a young man in his 20s. This is where things get serious. Yuri allegedly paid D a few racks for finding a hitman. He also agreed to pay Jovan $20,000 after the job was done, giving the young man a down payment of a few racks. Allegedly, Yuri even had the hitman at his home discussing the plan for the hit while his wife was dead. The first plan was to make it seem like a target was on both of the married couple, but the focus quickly switched to Makiva. And on June 29th, 2017, the play was in motion. When Jovan would later testify, he bought a gun from a friend for $60 and came to the couple's home near Latana, Florida. The hitman had on all black with a t-shirt tied around his head as a mask. Once he pulled up, allegedly, Yuri met him outside and told him his wife was upstairs in the room asleep, and explaining to him where to go in at and make sure you get the job done. The hitman entered the home and found Makiva sleeping in which he let off one shot, hitting her in the head, unfortunately leaving the pregnant wife gone. As local authorities got to the location and investigated the crime scene, they noticed early on Yuri didn't behave like a grieving husband. He was even laughing and joking, and told police it must have been a break-in in his home. Even though it seemed strange, it was no motive or suspects yet. Makiwa's family and friends were devastated, but noticed Yuri having fun, even going to strip clubs shortly after his wife passed. But the crazy thing is that when Yuri tried to check into the life insurance policy, he was not the beneficiary on neither one, which meant the hit was done in vain. Local authorities took cable, phone records, and cell phones from the residents, and eventually during their investigation, a name would come up. A young man named Jovan Joseph. He was arrested and charged with the hit. For months, Yuri stayed free, but he would eventually be picked up and charged with setting up the plot against his wife. The first trial would be set to take place in 2019, with Jovan giving statements and willing to testify against Yuri. Authorities even tracked down and arrested D, the middleman, in North Carolina, in which he agreed to testify against Yuri as well. But during court, the first trial would be postponed as jurors overheard Makiwa's family talking about the crime and how guilty Yuri was. New jurors would have to be picked. The case recently made it back to trial, with Yuri pleading not guilty to the hit on his wife. But Jovan testified and told prosecutors he needed money and agreed to the hit and went through with it to get the payment. Also, D told prosecutors he helped introduce the hitman to Yuri for money as well. For his cooperation, Jovan pled guilty to second-degree murder. His sentence is not public yet. D also got a deal. But Yuri would eventually be found guilty of his wife's murder, and Makiwa's family in the courtroom, her grandmother couldn't even stand in there and left out. Her brother even tried to get to Yuri to put hands on him. Yuri was sentenced to life in prison for the plot on his wife in the West Palm Beach courtroom. Rest in peace to Makiwa. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to the family. More of this story, money and greed will make some people take their own loved ones out. Yuri could have just left if he wasn't happy, but he decided to take his wife and unborn, and wasn't even on the policy. A cruddy person never wins. What goes around always comes back around. So remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, it's a messed up story in so many ways. You know, rest in peace to that young lady, man. That was his wife, you feel me? This wasn't no girlfriend. This wasn't no lady out the street. You know, she said she came from being homeless to making 6 figures. You know, they had a nice house. It seemed like they was on top of the world. But some people, you feel me, that still don't make them happy. They still want more, you know. He got caught up. He told D he wasn't happy with his wife. And they got this young man, he was 19 at the time, basically to throw his life away, man. Crazy. And the messed up thing, he wasn't even on the life insurance policies. He wasn't the beneficiary. So at the end of the day, he did all this for nothing, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments, man. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story. Subscribe if you're new to the fam. Hit that notification bell for future uploads. Let's get right into it. The number one question for decades has been, does money buy or bring happiness? Some people feel like most of their issues in life are financial, and they dream of a day when they can pay all their bills, have a nice car, support their family, own a house, and still have money to spare. But we always hear stories of people who have it all, still searching for happiness in different ways, to the point some even take themselves out the world due to depression or addiction, leaving me believing it's more to living a fulfilled life than just money. Not saying it's not important, because let's be honest, cash makes the world run, and you definitely need it to survive. For a long time, everyday working people have been trying to better their lives by playing the lottery, hoping to win big. As some play for fun, just trying to win a couple dollars, others play to win big and for life-changing results. And on this episode of Hood Tales, I will be taking it to North Carolina to discuss a case of a lottery winner that had it all, but ended up with a life sentence. According to sources, in the summer of 2017, a man in his early 50s named Michael Todd Hill entered a gas station to play a scratch-off. The Extreme Millions ticket the man bought at first was not a winner, so Michael went back to the clerk to play another ticket instead, Ultimate Millions. Joking with the clerk, Michael stated, "Why didn't you sell me the winning ticket?" And as he walked off to scratch off the new one, he saw he had a winner because of a dollar sign, but he did not know how much. After seeing a 10 and a 0, Michael quickly went to talk to the clerk, asking what did that mean. And the clerk nervously told him, "Sir, I think you just won $10 million, in which she was right. Michael at the time worked in a nuclear power plant and was married. After hitting big in an interview with local news, he told reporters, "This is life-changing money, and I'm going to pay off some bills and help my wife with her interior design business." Instead of monthly payouts, Michael took a lump sum of $6 million, and after taxes, the man walked away with over $4 million. Fast forward 3 years, Michael at the time was dating a young correctional officer named Kiana Graham. The young lady was 23 years old and Michael 54. Allegedly, the couple had been seeing each other for about 18 months. But by July 20th, 2020, when Kiana had not been in contact with her family or showed up to work at Pender Correctional Institution, her mother filed a missing persons report with local police. On the same day the report was filed, the maid staff at the Shore State Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina, not to be confused with Charlotte, about 40 miles from Wilmington, entered room 310 to clean when a young woman was found in bed with a gunshot wound to the head. As hotel staff called police, an investigation was started. It was determined the victim was Kiana Graham. The young lady was shot while asleep with a .45 and unfortunately was gone. But the question was how? The staff told police they had no idea a young lady was in the room because only a man checked in. After looking at surveillance and records, the room was in 54-year-old Michael Todd Hill's name. Once police located the man for questioning, he denied everything until they showed him surveillance video with him walking through the hotel. By then, realizing he was caught, Michael allegedly made a full confession, stating Kiana was his girlfriend of 18 months, and the two was at the room together spending time. When Michael claimed that the young lady was texting other men while they were together, and it made him so mad to the point he felt disrespected and shot her. After Michael was taken into custody, Kiana's family spoke out and accused Michael of using his money to bait younger women in, also claiming the age difference was too much, and Kiana was 11, outgoing, responsible young lady with her whole life ahead of her. As the case made the trial, a jury found Michael guilty of murder and Kiana's death. He was sentenced to life without parole. I definitely send my prayers and condolences to Kiana's family. May she rest in peace. More of this story, Michael had money, seemed to have it all, a young girlfriend, everything, and still snapped. Not even catching Kiana with another man, but just an alleged text message. And within 5 years, Michael went from being married, a millionaire, to life in prison. So I don't know if money can make you happy or control your emotions, as the man could have been on the island retired in his 50s, cooling, but instead Michael's new home is a prison cell, and the young lady is gone from her family. It's a lose-lose situation. So remember, we gotta succeed not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Man, it's a crazy story. First and foremost, rest in peace, Kiana. You know, when I first heard this story, I was like, man, how a man that had all this money, had millions of dollars, end up with life in prison? But that just go to show you, you feel me? At the end of the day, he couldn't have been that happy. You know, I think he was looking for love. I'm not sure if he was married still. A lot of people say he was. They were speculating. But then at the end of the day, some say he was estranged from his wife. Like, they wasn't together anymore. But her family felt as though she was too young. You know, she was like 23 years old, had a whole life ahead of her. He 54 years old, and they felt as though he was using his money to bait her in. And unfortunately, when older men or older people in general, some get that kind of money, they want like a trophy wife. They want somebody younger on their arms, you know, to make them, I guess, feel young. And at the end of the day, man, I don't know if she was actually texting another man, but if she was still, though, that don't give him right to do what he did. Because at the end of the day, you know, as an older dude, you got to feel like, man, this girl young. You know, she young enough to be my daughter. So she probably, you know, doing her thing or whatever. But I guess he felt as though he had that money. He wanted to have that control over her in the situation. And some people snap when they lose control or feel like they losing what they invested in. I don't even know if he invested in her, because she had a job. It ain't like she wasn't working or nothing like that, man. But it's a messed up situation, you know. This man went from having it all, you know, went from 5 years to going to prison for life. And a lot of times I hear people saying this all the time, you know, money can buy happiness because you could pay bills, you could do things, you could travel. But man, happiness is dependent on happiness. What I mean by that is whatever happening in your life. Because if you sick and you not well, you can't enjoy that money, man. So yeah, let me know what y'all think about this one. Be sure to tap that like button. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.
What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, I'll be telling the tragic story of Asia Womack, a young woman who lost her life over trash talk after she beat her male friend in a basketball game. He has been charged with Asia's slaying. Before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe, click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the full story. Just a disclaimer, everything in this video is alleged. All persons are innocent until proven guilty. All right, let's jump right into it. So here is what I know after reading about 21-year-old Asia Womack. She was born on February 15th, 2001 in Fort Worth, Texas. Asia grew up in a very loving family. She attended James Madison High School in Dallas, where she played basketball, and graduated with her diploma in 2019. Asia would then further her education attending Texas A&M Commerce, where she was studying kinesiology. Asia was affectionately known as Fat Baby and had a passion for the sport of basketball from a very early age. She was gifted on the court. Asia's family would describe her as being like no other. According to Asia's family, she had a big heart that overflowed with love, joy, and laughter, with a smile that could brighten anyone's day. Asia was not only well loved by her family, but also her friends, and they seemed to all have a very tight bond. When Asia was off the court, she would spend time attending church, where she played an active part in the youth ministry. Asia was a loving daughter, sister, aunt, cousin, and much more. Asia's love filled the hearts of many who knew her. Sadly, things took a tragic turn on Monday, October 3rd, 2022. According to news reports, Asia Womack and a male friend were playing a game of pickup basketball at T.G. Terry Park in South Dallas. Like most pickup games, both players were trash talking according to sources. Asia would end up winning the game against her friend. Sources say that the trash talk would continue even after the game. Asia's friend eventually left the park. According to what the family told news outlets, the male friend allegedly went to take his children and brother home, but later returned. By that time, Asia reportedly went to another friend's house where they hooked up a TV outside to watch a football game. According to reports, while Asia and her other friend were sitting on the curb, a pickup truck pulled up, and Asia's friend she won against in the basketball game allegedly came out of the vehicle and started walking towards Asia. As he approached Asia, she stood up to confront him. According to Asia's other friend who was present, they said the man allegedly pulled out a weapon and fired at Asia, hitting her twice in the chest without any words being exchanged. According to reports, the friend who witnessed what was happening said as Asia fell back in the chair, the man allegedly fired at Asia 2 more times before leaving. According to reports, at 7:40 p.m., Dallas police were called to the 4100 block of Hamilton Avenue near Fear Park. When officers arrived, they found Asia lying on the sidewalk with multiple wounds to her body. This happened to Asia just 2 blocks away from her home. Asia was rushed to an area hospital where she sadly passed away. Police began their investigation into Asia's senseless and brazen end to her life. According to reports, Asia's friend who was watching football with her told investigators the person who shot Asia was 31-year-old Cameron Hogg of Dallas, Texas. According to reports, the friend told investigators that when Cameron allegedly walked up to Asia, he looked visibly upset. The friend who knew Cameron for 15 years was able to positively identify him from a 6-person photo lineup. Although officers revealed they had a warrant for a suspect's arrest, they did not confirm any details to the media at that time. As police searched for their suspect, Asia's family mourned their tremendous loss and pleaded with the public to help them find the whereabouts of the person they believe took Asia's life. Family members told news outlets that Cameron Hogg and Asia were really good friends. According to them, Asia would even consider him as a brother and trusted him as such. Asia's family went on to tell news outlets about the kind of friend Asia was to Cameron. They said the two have shared meals together. She fed him. He would pick her up. They'd hang out. When Cameron was incarcerated, Asia would take his jail calls and put money on his books, and would also buy him whatever he needed. Asia's family didn't understand why he would allegedly be the person who took her life, and in such a vicious way. Police urged the community to call if they had any information regarding Asia's case. Law enforcement also ended up offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. According to reports, weeks later, police reported that they had arrested Cameron Hogg. Investigators did not release how or where he was taken into custody or why it took so long. Cameron was arraigned on charges of murder, fleeing a police officer, and driving while intoxicated. According to reports, his bond was set to $1.75 million. Reports say a search of court records show that Cameron Hogg has had other violent cases from 2009 all the way up until 2021. Cameron Hogg is innocent until proven guilty. Wow, fam, this is such a sad story. Rest in peace to Asia Womack. My deepest and sincerest condolences to Asia's family and loved ones. For Asia to lose her life at the hands of a person she thought she can trust is just absolutely heartbreaking. How can a so-called friend be so cold to take her life because he couldn't accept being beaten by her in a simple pickup game between two friends? Doesn't seem like a reason to take things to that extent. Was his pride hurt? Like, what could have been so bad he had to take it there? Fam, please tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Also, feel free to leave encouraging words to Asia's family and loved ones. Again, rest in peace to Asia. May her loving memory live on. I pray for her family as they go through the process of getting justice for Asia. I pray for their healing and peace of mind during this trying time. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm out. What's up, YouTube fam? It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, I will tell the story about a Georgia woman who lost her life in an alleged ambush over a love triangle. Before we get into this video, welcome if you're new here to our channel. Please feel free to subscribe. Click that notification bell to get notified every time we upload. If you're rocking with the content, smash that like button. Share this video with everyone you know. Make sure you watch until the end to hear the whole story. All right, let's jump right into it. According to news reports, on August 11th, 2022, Ashley Bocanegra, 30 years old, of Beaufort, Georgia, arrived at a hospital with severe injuries stemming from a fight she had been involved in earlier that day with two other females. According to what Ashley's sister told news reports, her sister couldn't even breathe once she got to the hospital and had to be flown to another one. Unfortunately, she claimed her sister had passed away before they could start surgery. They fractured her ribs and her liver, she said. She couldn't breathe out of her mouth, she said. They had to put a tube in. A few hours later, sadly, Ashley Bocanegra did succumb to her injuries and was pronounced deceased. Ashley was a mother of a 7-year-old son. At around 1 p.m. that day, Gwinnett homicide detectives were called to investigate the incident after a neighbor reportedly saw the altercation. Detectives were looking for two suspects, Antonetta Stevens, 27 years old, also of Beaufort, and 17-year-old Janine Gonzalez, who is originally from Buffalo, New York. Detectives determined that both suspects allegedly lured Ashley Bocanegra to the apartment complex where they live, near the 2900 block of Beaufort Drive, and allegedly attacked her. Detectives learned that Janine Gonzalez's brother had been involved in a romantic relationship with both Antonetta Stevens and Ashley Bocanegra, and that the relationship was the motive behind the attack. Janine's brother is the father of Ashley's 7-year-old son. When the homicide unit was able to locate Janine Gonzalez and Antonetta Stevens at their apartment, they questioned them about the incident. According to investigators, Antonetta Stevens and Janine Gonzalez's initial story was that Ashley showed up looking for Janine's brother, and that's when the fight started. However, investigators didn't seem to buy their story. Detectives said the physical altercation resulted in serious injury, which caused Ashley to lose her life. It was also reported that they had allegedly taken Ashley's cell phone during the attack and then fled the scene. One report revealed that Antonetta Stevens told investigators that she was in a romantic relationship with Janine's brother and found out he was cheating on her with Ashley. Another report revealed that Janine told investigators the same thing. Reports also went on to say that Ashley's sister told reporters that Ashley's son's father was the one who took her to the hospital. The police department said Janine Gonzalez's brother was in the apartment and had injuries all over his shoulders and back, but would not tell them where they came from. One of Ashley's cousins had this to say about the senseless slaying. "I'm very angry with those girls," said the victim's cousin. "They're lucky the cops got them. She was beautiful inside out, so I can see why they were jealous. And jealousy is an ugly trait to have." Family and friends described Ashley Bocanegra as a happy person who was so full of life, according to a GoFundMe page launched on her behalf. She was such a happy individual who lit up the whole room as soon as she walked in, the GoFundMe said. The fundraiser goes on to say that Ashley was born and raised in New York City and moved to Georgia for a better life for herself and her son. Janine Gonzalez and Antonetta Stevens were arrested and charged with aggravated battery, robbery, and felony murder. Both remain in a Gwinnett County jail without bond as of August 15th, 2022, according to booking records. Both are innocent until proven guilty. Wow, fam, this is such a sad, senseless, and unfortunate story. My sincerest and deepest condolences to Ashley Bocanegra's family. I pray they receive the justice and peace they need in this case. It's so messed up on a lot of levels. Ashley leaves behind her son. I can't imagine having to explain a situation like this to a child. These women allegedly took a mother away from her child, and one of those women was his aunt. And not to mention, she herself is still a minor. Janine Gonzalez is only 17 years old and got caught up into grown adult situation. And now she is possibly facing the rest of her life in prison, all because she was willing to ride for someone she probably thought was her friend. Now, I know she's old enough to make her own choices, but I believe at 17, you're still impressionable. Antonetta Stevens is 27 years old, and she decided to go along with the idea of having her man's little sister go with her to allegedly beat up the mother of his child. If she is responsible for this heinous crime, she used that young girl as a crash dummy, and that's just messed up. She was the adult in the situation. She could have handled her own battles, and the man at the top of this alleged love triangle is free to move on with his life if he pleases. Like, look at the mess the actions of allegedly dealing with two women at the same time has made. The mother of your child is gone, your little sister locked up, and old girl locked up. I mean, I can't speak on that man's mental or emotional state, but it's just tragic. It's really just tragic. I pray for everyone involved. May Ashley's memory live on. It's so heartbreaking that her life ended in such a senseless and cruel way. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below, and please feel free to leave kind and encouraging messages to the family. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times, and I'm out.